Hey guys, Katie here. Today I want to talk about Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks-Dalton. This book was named after another book of the same name by Jean Rhys. I loved her book Wide Sargasso Sea, so now I'm definitely curious to read Good Morning Midnight by Jean Rhys, but I've heard it is notoriously depressing. So I think I will save it for some time when I'm in a really good mind frame to read that. Good Morning Midnight came out a couple of weeks ago and I was dying to read it, so I just picked up the hardback. I don't usually do that, but I'm really glad that I did because it's such a beautiful novel. And I think that is one of the things that really drew me to it, is that it is written beautifully. I think Lily Brooks-Dalton is a very good writer, and the whole book, I could really see it, feel it, hear it, all that jazz. It was very immersive, which is something that I really appreciate. When I was reading, I felt like I was there, and I can't say enough about how enjoyable it was to read. The story is about two people, a man named Augustine or Augie, and a woman named Sully. Augie lives in the Arctic, and he decided to stay behind when they evacuated all the other scientists. He's an astronomer, but then he finds that he's not alone. There's a little girl named Iris there with him, and he's kind of like an older man. He believes it's the end of his life. So they evacuate everybody, and then the world just goes silent. Sully is an astronaut in space. She is like the communications officer for this spaceship that went to Jupiter and is on its way back when it finds out that they cannot communicate with Earth anymore. They cannot hear them. There's complete radio silence. And that story is very interesting because you really get to experience the different stages of grief as the crew kind of deals with the possibility of not being able to go home. Or what would they find when they got home, because obviously probably everyone they knew was dead. As you can tell, this book is very sad. It is pretty somber. Augie spends a lot of time kind of contemplating his life and how he behaved and, the things that he missed. And Sully does the same thing, really, only in a different environment. But I think that the ending is a good mix of hopeful and disastrous, and I really enjoyed that. I think this is a really interesting take on the post-apocalyptic literary novel because it's just quiet and that's it. And we don't know what happened. We don't know, even, towards the end, there's really no indication of what happened to just erase the entire human population except for these few people who happen to be spared by their locations. So many post-apocalyptic novels focus on struggling and surviving and in harsh conditions and things like that, or the repercussions of, our society on future societies, how climate change destroys the earth and things like that. This is just straight up, it's done, it's over, and who knows why, and everybody has to cope with that. I mentioned earlier that it's very sad, and usually I'm really careful about reading books that are sad because I'm afraid that they are going to make me depressed. But I didn't have trouble with that, and I think that's because there's always this hint of hope, and maybe that's sort of a theme of the book. I don't really know for sure how I feel about it, but there's always sort of a hint of maybe we'll contact somebody from both ends. They're both kind of dealing with that, and I think that kept me up enough that I could manage to read this very sad book and this sad reflection of life regrets. I don't think that this book will appeal to anyone who is looking for super heavy plots. This is really kind of a character study and kind of an inward look at how we cope, how we grieve. But if you're interested in those sorts of things, just enjoying developing characters, this is the book for you, and I highly recommend it. Somebody mentioned that the cover looks like Station 11, and I definitely see that similarity, and once I saw that similarity, I realized that this is a good book for people who like Station 11, so if you like Station 11, that's also a good reason to pick this up. I hope that this review was helpful to you. I didn't say as much as I thought I would, but then again, I'm trying really hard to make this usable. So let me know if this inspired you to pick up the book, or if you've read the book, or whatever, And let's talk in the comments about that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.